Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and Gothamites. My name is Emily Sophia, and I'm going to be breaking down for you guys the latest episode of Gotham, The Mask. So, spoiler alert before we dive into the mad thick of things, as I will be bearing all in this review. And without further ado, let us get into this business, okay? So, I was both excited and nervous for this week's episode because last week's episode, Penguin's umbrella, was so top-notch. We had a really refreshing focus on the budding mob war, less so on the villain of the week. Things really seemed to be kicking into high gear. It was a very dynamic and entertaining episode, and this week's had its moments, but it was a bit more subtle. We kind of pulled back from the overarching mob war because, well, according to Mooney and Falcone, this is a time of peace, right? But not quite so. There's quite a bit of fighting going on in the Gotham scene right now, and so the villain of the week returned, and this time in the form of kind of the Wolf of Wall Street meets Fight Club, you know? I read this article on the AV Club website, and the caption for it was, "The first rule of Wall Street is don't talk about Fight Club." And I thought that summed up the general gist of things pretty well. So we see that our own unique form of Jordan Belfort has got a love of ancient battle paraphernalia and sicking young potential new hires on one another in an office setting, which is kind of reminiscent of Fish Mooney when she pitted her top two songstresses against one another to vie for the coveted position as her weapon against Falcone. And I mean, I am compelled to ask, is this the way that the employment and hiring system just works in Gotham? Like, I do not understand. I find that a little bit disturbing. But we see that in this version of The Wolf of Wall Street, it's not so much about wild partying and substance abuse as it is about physical abuse, which apparently carries on from the hiring process into working in the firm. And, you know, that it's likely not unfamiliar to find an intern with a nosebleed in the bathroom around here is certainly a sign of the desperate times. I mean, this caricature of competition in the professional job market certainly plays into the wholesale top-to-bottom corruption of Gotham that Gordon is adamantly combating. And maybe, just maybe, his fellow Justice Keepers are waking up to smell the coffee as well, but kind of remains yet to be seen. But we do see that in this episode, Harvey pushes for everyone to kind of get behind what Gordon is all about. That's really the biggest source of character development in this episode, aside from what we see with Alfred and Lil Wayne as well. But I will talk about that soon here. That was one of my favorite parts of the episode. I loved it, and it really redeemed things in my eyes despite a lot of the things that I had problems with. So, excuse me, I am going to first discuss with you the bad and the ugly, the things that I found very troubling or stupid in this episode, and then the good, so we can end on a note of of seeing what exactly this episode did right, what gives us momentum for the future, etc., etc. So, first I must begin with the bad. So, Mother freaking Barbara Keene. All right, let me break down the situation with you all. Let us deconstruct, dismantle what exactly we have seen transpire with this woman. So, and I'm going to talk to you, Barbara. I'm going to talk to you directly. Let's discuss. Okay. Gordon sends you away for your own safety, okay? You then proceed to return to jeopardize his safety. You ask for half of what he can carry while boozing and wielding his handguns at the same time, and then end up leaving anyway when Gordon's too busy trying to catch murderous scumbags to chat with you on the phone and thus keep you from hitting the bottle? Goodness gracious, woman! No. This is not happening. So now you're going to pose yet another liability, another threat to Gordon by attempting to leave when you should have already disappeared, and your fears of falling into Zaz's clutches are undoubtedly going to come true again. Oh yeah, I am confounded. Simply and utterly confounded. You want him to tell you the truth. You want him to lie. You want him to tell you that there are no monsters, and you leave him because you know that they're real. Have you no consideration of logic? No understanding of the man you profess to love? No understanding of yourself? That is all that I have to say to you. A good day, miss. Good riddance. But at the same time, we know that you're gonna be back. And you're gonna be cuffed and bound and dangling from the top of some building. And I have absolutely no sympathy for you. I mean, I just hope that the writers aren't trying to make her sympathetic to us. Could it possibly be that they are? Because I don't want to believe that. I don't want to live in a world where the writers want us to believe that. No. No. This woman does not understand the way of life, and I cannot get behind a single action of hers. I try to understand, I try to look and see exactly what she's thinking, but she is just a walking talk a book of contradictions, okay? And I shall not deal with that. I will not touch that with a 10-foot pole. And poor freaking Gordon has absolutely no idea, because this woman has absolutely no idea. And so how it is that they ended up together anyway baffles me. I mean, I think this woman, she is suffering from the same thing that I think Bruce Wayne is suffering from right now. The need to get out of the house. And see, at least Bruce is finally doing that, and he's learning how to fight. All she's doing is learning how to screw everything up. Case closed. I might get some angry comments about people that are trying to stick up for Miss Barbs. But, you know, I have I have wielded my barbed wires against her. I realize that some may disagree. I am willing to converse with you on the topic, but as you see, I am filled with displeasure to my core. On to number 2. I had to start off there. You gotta start it off at the top sometimes, but we also see this week the return to formula, and really the only role that this villain of the week serves in the grand scheme of things is to rally the GCPD cops around Gordon despite their shame and frustration over Gordon's righteousness. Harvey pretty much forces them to acknowledge the validity of their fellow cops' game and rallies them around him, convincing Essen to get on the case and arrive just in time to see Gordon essentially save his own day. So that was kind of silly to me, but at least we finally get to see Harvey stick up for his partner in crime fighting. Despite the obvious friction that sparks between them wherever they go and whatever they do, they somehow manage to make a very formidable duo. So I am enjoying seeing the bromantic aspect of their relationship and the way that the two of them are being developed with each other. But at the same time, when you kind of see how the villain of the week was used to that effect, it's like, why couldn't that have just been accomplished through other means? And it sort of was, but again, that was really all that I got out of the whole thing with the mask. It was kind of another experiment, another attempt at changing up the tone, but the show really needs to establish a tone before it introduces changes, because I have no idea like what to expect from week to week. Now last week, if they could just keep that general feel and ambiance going, I'd be psyched. I think that would be great. I think that it really worked, and that provided a huge rating boost for the show. But yeah, I mean, this week's villain just really didn't do it for me, and I will explain another reason why he super did not do it for me. But anyways, my next issue, number 3, the shoehorning of Selina Kyle. So up pops either the world's most incompetent or conniving cat burglar, tossing her luxurious spoils up onto the pavement from the sewer as if to announce herself to the world. Girls gotta shop. I mean, what? Like, what do you mean? Why? And what human female does so without a bag or some unit of containment for her purchases? Then again, we are dealing with the crook who shoves milk cartons into the non-existent crooks of her skin-tight leather jacket. She is her own purse, and I guess that this is something that has kind of more or less been established. But, you know, alright, I hope that we're not to believe that she didn't intend on getting caught. But just how many episodes are we going to have that end with her smirking at Gordon and dangling some juicy little carrot of intel from the streets over his head? I mean, this is not the first time we've seen this kind of scenario, and I dare say that the way that Selina's been written so far puts her at risk of becoming, well, the harbinger of cheese, of cheesiness. So herein lies the campiness that makes the show a bit of an uneven ride. I think that it's fair, being that this is set in the Gotham Batman universe, it's fair to have some level of campiness. We've seen that demonstrated in past films and shows and things like that, but yeah, no, it's really frustrating to me that I am starting to become a little bit frustrated with Selina Kyle, because just why? Why is it like there have been more than one episode that has ended with her being like, here, I gotta try and sit the way she does. She's like, yo, I'm back. And then Gordon's like, not you again. His constipation face that he makes for everything, just the, oh, not you. But his constipation face is kind of near and dear to my soul, but not the fact that Selina Kyle keeps having to pop up this way like a little groundhog, you know? What is the deal? Next, number 4, the shoehorning of the Waynes. So, I don't know if all of you will agree with me on this, but let me explain what I mean. So, of course, it's of paramount importance to the show and its underlying themes and overall trajectory that Thomas and Martha Wayne have died. This is essentially what begins Batman, you know? But the way that the show's characters reflect upon the consequences of the Waynes' joint demise is a little bit heavy-handed to me. I mean, can it really be said that the social convulsions of Gotham are completely owed to the passing of these two paragons of virtue? Like, sure, we see that there's a huge power struggle at play in the mob war that has ensued since their death, but the trickle-down effect of their deaths is accentuated to the point that it's like this inundation of Niagara Falls proportions, and everything, like every mask and balloon man and stabby McPokerman Jensen is a symptom of the city sickened by the loss of its patron saints. Like, their hand in things by being absent it's critical, but at the same time I think it is possible for their loss to be overstated when looking at the social state of the city. Like, yeah, their loss plays a huge role. It is essentially what sends Bruce Wayne on his path to becoming the Dark Knight, and etc., etc. But I really think that every time there's a conversation had about, like, what is going on with the city? Oh, ever since the Waynes passed away, and again, it just seems like all of these sweeping generalizations are being made. And sure, you can trace a lot of things back to their influence, but the more that they try to, like, push that in there when the show is focusing on, like, say, the mob war, the more they're kind of like, remember the Wayne family and this and that. Like, we've got Bruce Wayne in the picture, so we don't necessarily need the constant reminder of what's happened in Gotham since the Waynes died. Like, that's just kind of the way that I feel. And I fear that the writers are going to continue to, again, shoehorn them into things when really they could use a bit more subtlety, I guess. And then finally, so my last major complaint about this episode, number 5, was Richard Sionis, aka The Mask. There was this one quote in his battle with Gordon, and it just, no, the cheese factor is off the charts. Like, I can't deal with it. When he says the, like, looks like I'll be giving myself $1 million. Do you remember that part? Because, you know, he tells, like, the guys that are duking it out and that are supposed to kill Gordon or whatever, that he's gonna give them $1 million bonus. And then once they're out of the picture, he's like, well, I guess I'll be giving myself $1 million. No, that's not, why would you say that? I just want you to die because you you said that. That's not what you, no, get out. You're done. Retire, please. And I dare say he does, so good for him. But no, that was like one of the cheesiest lines that I have heard in the show to date, and I needed to express how I felt about that being said. No, that's so bad. It's so bad, and I don't even know. Okay, anyways, let's actually move on to the good things. I think I made a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good things. So we are equally balanced bad and good right now. Next week is gonna have to break the scale, you know? But anyway, so what I did love about this episode, number 1, was the character development with Alfred and Bruce Wayne. I freaking love Alfred. He is just like, his his anger, his rage, and his ability to channel that in a way to help raise Bruce is so, it's so cool. I love it. Like, he's come a long way from his position of trying to give Bruce what he thinks is a normal, stable life, and coming to a point where, you know, he needs to deal with this aggression. He needs to be able to confront the people that are trying to break him down. For those of you who have seen Dexter and know my Dexter reviews, of course I am about to make a little Dexter metaphor. I see Alfred as a sort of Harry Morgan figure and Lil Wayne as kind of a Dexter Morgan, because Alfred is trying to play the role of shaping Bruce as he comes into his destiny of sorts. And then in the midst of that, we see the introduction of another Batman comic character, Tommy Hush Elliott, the kind of swoop-haired, almost emo-looking prep school bully kid. You know, he actually becomes a nemesis of both Batman and Bruce Wayne later on. I mean, talk about a pretty deep-seated antagonism if he's going after both forms of Bruce in the future. But so we kind of see the roots for that laid with the introduction of this minor character, and I think that was really cool. But you know, instead of Alfred trying to talk Bruce down from wanting to confront this bully after he got his little butt whooped, Alfred's like, no, I'm gonna give you this watch. You're gonna go and deliver him the punch that he deserves, and then we're gonna get pizza. How does that sound? You know, and then all of that ultimately culminates in Bruce asking Alfred to help train him to fight. Because the way that kids treat him at this school is, well, I think those skills are going to come in handy, and then of course we know even more so the ways that they're going to come in handy when he is the Dark Knight. But, so while this of course poses the problem of how exactly are we going to keep Bruce Wayne from becoming Batman too soon, at the same time I think that it was a really good culmination of that particular story arc in this episode. So kudos to them. I think that was pretty well done. It was very entertaining and good to see Bruce get out of the house, learn a little bit of street smarts, how to confront other people his own age. I think it's all good stuff. It's good to see that. I'm talking way too fast. To see that happen for him. Number 2, I like the stripping away of the guise of peacetime with Fish, Mooney, and Penguin, of course. So, in contrast to like the blood that's visible on the floors of Richard Sionis's firm, Fish and Penguin are drawing blood in private. Okay, so we see Mooney violently rejects the Penguin's half-hearted atonement gift of the brooch. Also, might I add, you know, why spend a fortune on personal accessories when you can, you know, make like Oswald and acquire fashion from unsuspecting passersby in the streets? I mean, that's the way to beat those big ticket prices. I tell you what, ain't no Black Friday sale gonna help you out. Just gotta get what you can from whoever you find. But anyway, so then meanwhile, the Penguin picks up on Mooney's new umbrella boy, and you know, he's eating his daily apple while stringing the terrified little pawn up by his feet and squeezing information out about Mooney's deadly little secret weapon. So while there are not yet rivers of blood in the streets, these two insurgent rivals can't seem to stop pressuring the floodgates. You know, they are pushing on those hinges all right, so it's only a matter of time at this point. But it was cool that neither Mooney nor Falcone was in the picture, so there was not so much that double play as it was like, this is the rivalry. This is the core of the war, because while these two old powers are trying to maintain the peace, we got the new upstarts that are bringing a whole different kind of energy, and so we got to see that really played up. Some fun little moments with the Penguin, of course. His presence is always welcome here. And then next, like, a lot of people are split over the character of Enigma, but I think that he embodies the fun side of the series' campiness. We kind of see that too demonstrated with the Penguin and even with Fish Mooney, while a lot of people are very divided about Jada Pinkett Smith and all of that jazz. But I really like Enigma so far. He's just so outlandishly quirky. And we see too that he's this darting little caged bird, and he wants to find his way into some power, but he is constantly prevented from that left and right by his superiors. And we know that he's got skills, but he's also got this undeniable creepiness and sense of humor that just rubs everybody the wrong way, petting everybody's fur backwards essentially, and yet that makes him very endearing in a twisted way. So I don't know what you think about him, but I really enjoy his character so far, and I think that probably in the second season or the next part of the first season, I don't know how many episodes we're getting with this first season actually, but I think that we're going to see him really trying for power more so later on, as we have seen the Penguin rise through the ranks. So I think that's very cool. And then, of course, what was also really interesting about this episode was Fish Mooney's deception with Liza. So Mooney pretends to be the mother she lost when in fact, and if I'm reading all this episode correctly and what happened, her still living mother is also dangling on the line. I mean, that was the old woman who was singing in the club, right? And who Mooney dismisses at the very end, like, go on home now, and the lady says that she heard her telling stories. And so the way that Fish Mooney is manipulating Liza really speaks to the dark nature of Mooney's character. I mean, say about her what you will and how over the top and crazy she is, but oh man, does she not sit right with me at this point, because Liza, she actually comes forth to say that she wants a way out of this, because she's trying to understand her role with Falcone, and she can't fundamentally justify to herself what Fish Mooney wants her to do. The man is old and soft, and I think that she doesn't want to say it to Mooney, but I think that she doesn't feel right about what she has to do. She's always dressed in this pure white, and I think that to some extent she kind of feels connected to the role that she is playing, and that she's kind of found herself in actually a pretty nice circumstance of living. And it doesn't appear to me that Falcone is abusive to her. I mean, again, when she goes into confession with Mooney in the church, that was pretty clever. But you know, she said that she can't tell if she's his lover or mother or maid, and Mooney insists that she be all of those things to completely take this guy down. But it's really disturbing to me that she keeps Liza in the game by telling her that ultimately what she's seeking is to never be powerless again in enacting revenge for the death of her mother at the hands of Falcone's men. But I think that was her mom that we just saw there in the club. So it's like, oh man, this woman's a little bit crazy. I don't know that I'd want to see her come into power. I mean, I don't know whose side I even agree with, but she is a reckoning force, that is for sure. Another thing that I enjoyed about the episode was the Gordon / Harvey / Essen dynamic. Essen has always been kind of pitted against Gordon and tries to downplay what he's doing, but this week, you know, she apologizes for stepping down when Zaz came onto the scene, and she wants to kind of find a road to unity. And so I think that was pretty cool. Again, getting to kind of see the bromance at work with Gordon and Harvey. I don't think that there was as much character development for Gordon as I would have liked to see in this episode, but we're seeing how he's kind of growing with other characters, so I think that that was well done in that way. So you got the good, you got the bad. That's just about everything that I have for this week, but if there's anything else that I failed to discuss or address, please leave it in the comments, and if you do disagree with some of my scathing indictments, that's totally fine. I just want to be open with you all and have a good time. So thank you so much for watching. I will be back next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. If ever you're finding yourself in need of a good mentor, call up Mr. Alfred, who seems to know generally how to do things in life. Like that guy. You guys take care, and I will be back before you know it. So, spoiler, blah blah blah.